They don't know we're not allowed to use magic at home. I'm going to have a lot of fun with Dudley this summer. The end. Well, I'm sorry, Tommy Wiseau card. I guess I'll just have to use you for a bookmark for the Chamber Seek ritual I will start immediately after filming this video. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone came out in 1997. It was written by J.K. Rowling. I'm going to be referring to it as the Sorcerer's Stone, because that's the American version, and I'm American, I think. Before I start praising J.K. Rowling for how well she wrote this book, I'd like to say that she's not the best person in the world. I don't agree with her tweets, and I feel like she really should have kept that to herself. But we all have to admit that she is an extremely talented writer and keeps your engagement for 90% of the time. So, I'm going to start with my problems because I have a few, but I'm going to get to the praises in just a little bit. Let's start with the back of the book that has a synopsis. Harry Potter has never played a sport while flying on a broomstick. He's never worn a cloak of invisibility, befriended a giant, or helped hatch a dragon. All Harry knows is a miserable life with the Dursleys, his horrible aunt and uncle, and their abominable son, Dudley. Harry's room is a tiny closet at the foot of the stairs, and he hasn't had a birthday party in 11 years. But all that is about to change when a mysterious letter arrives by Owl Messenger. A letter with an invitation to a wonderful place he never dreamed existed. There, he finds not only friends, aerial sports, and magic around every corner, but a great destiny that's been waiting for him, if Harry can survive the encounter. Okay, so that completely spoils the whole book. You don't get to Hogwarts until you're roughly 100 pages in. You don't meet Hagrid until chapter 4, which in my copy is page 46, and you don't even get to know that Harry's a wizard until page 50. Imagine never reading the books and then reading the back synopsis and it spoils the whole thing for you. The whole first quarter of the story is all about build-up, and then when you get to Hogwarts, that's when Rowling decides to have fun with it. That's not as much as a book problem rather than Scholastic's problem or Bloomsbury. I don't know who wrote the synopsis. But I feel like, hey, don't put that on there. That's my problem that doesn't involve her. Now, let's get in the book itself. This one's just a big nitpick, but for chapter 7, it's called The Sorting Hat, and then we see a picture of Peeves. That's not a hat! I also think that the ending kind of drags on for a little too much, a few pages. And then the Forbidden Forest, I felt like went on for a little way too long. The battle with Quirrell takes too long to get going, and as soon as we finally start progressing in that duel, kind of, I guess you wouldn't call it a duel. Rather, an 11-year-old absolutely destroying a fully grown man with a demon's face on the back of his head. But now let's get to the praises. And if I have a problem, I'll say here's another problem that I came up with. It is an incredibly well-written book. It decides to mess around with some ideas, with my favorite chapter being Quidditch. It is the best written chapter and explains the action going into it much better than the movie depicted it. And that's also where my problem is. Here's another problem that I came up with. So they cut out the midnight duel. That was probably the best idea and shows how malicious Draco is because he can really go so far, but I feel like they kind of underpowered him. And instead, they just ran? I don't know. But as a adaptation, still a great film, really adaptation. I still stand by everything I said in that. But the opening of the book proves it was all in his head theory. But the magic element kind of fades, and I feel like they only focus enough on a few characters and kind of leave other characters left in the dark. But oh my god, I love Rubeus Hagrid. He is such a well-written and adorable, sympathetic character that I don't even know how to explain my love for him. Also, why is Hermione a cartoon squirrel? Something that I feel like they did in the movie that was better than the book is that they didn't gloss over Ron getting absolutely obliterated in the chess scene. Chapter 16, I felt the second half of it, when they were actually getting somewhere, felt really rushed. It went from this to this to this instead of explaining it. But that's all I really have to say that hasn't been said. That's just my opinion. And even though that I'm reading the books afterward, still not going to ruin my opinion on the films. The reason why I enjoy seeing the films before I read the book is you're not going to be as critical when it comes to it being an adaptation. A few years ago, I read all the Captain Underpants books. And that film disappointed me. It could have been a spectacular franchise. Well, for what it's worth. I mean, it's still Captain Underpants, but it could have been a really well done family kids franchise buzzwords. But anyways, I still saw the actors as these characters, but near the second half, the characters between movie Harry and Book Harry, they were like one single ball, and they started differentiating from each other. And I felt like this just layered on to my love for the film. And the film layered on to my love for the book. Is the book better? Roughly, yes. It is about just a little bit better because it provides more information and explains stuff more. And if you don't know my rating system, a golden ticket is an 8 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10, and a trophy is a 9.5 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10. This is a book, it's definitely going to be much different. And I'm going to be judging it more on a how well was it paced, how well was it written, how much did I enjoy it. I don't rate stuff off like critical enjoyment or anything like that. I more do it off enjoyment and that stuff on it. That's why, like, I really enjoyed Cruella, and that's why I had such a high rating. Why do I feel like I have to keep defending myself? I give Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone a solid 8.5 out of 10. That's a golden ticket. Congratulations. You're going to Hollywood. You're going to Hollywood and I'm not paying for your ticket. I used an audiobook I found on YouTube by this guy called Mr. O. I'll link it in the description. It is really well read and it strays away from some American terms, but it didn't really bother me that much. And if it bothers you can probably find another one. And I don't feel like it's cheating because if it helps you get through a story, it helps you get through the story. That's how I get through the books I read. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching and stay golden, everyone. Chapter 1. The Worst Birthday. Not for the first time, an argument had broken out over breakfast at number 4 Privet Drive. I give Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets a solid D-, or The Possessed. Proud? Said Harry. Are you crazy? All those times I could have died and I didn't manage, they'll be furious. And together they walk back through the gateway to the Muggle world. The frickin' end. Hello everyone. Welcome back to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. I'm your professor, and I'm dead. I'm a ghost. Boo! So I literally just finished Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, and yeah, this is a book review of it. Once again, what I said in my Sorcerer's Stone review, before I start praising and listing all the good stuff about this book, J.K. Rowling isn't the best person in the world. She definitely should have kept all that stuff to herself. I don't agree with it, but once again, she's an extremely talented author. But with this book, it's a little different because it honestly feels extremely rushed. Not like rushed, but there are a lot of like breaks in between paragraphs. And it's really jarring sometimes, and it's not as compelling as the Philosopher's Stone, and the ending is definitely much better written, but this book drags on a lot more than you think. It's honestly kind of boring at points. There's a bit more tension, I think. From remembering what I've seen from the movies, this is a very tension-filled story, and I don't think we really get tension like this until the Goblet of Fire or Deathly Hallows. But this says, and it's been said 1,000 times, plot convenience the book. It's this whole book from the third act is all like that one singular scene in like a detective show or a mystery movie. It's all like making connections and stuff. And it's definitely a good placeholder second year. I definitely think that the movie's honestly a teensy bit better because they keep your I honestly think that the movie's a tiny bit better, only because they keep your interest. The thing that really reignited my interest around halfway through is the Death Day party and the Quidditch. I loved reading about Quidditch. Sorry, my brightness is really bad right now. Yes, I'm very tired. I just finished it this morning. And, yeah. Hermione's not in it in the second half, so it's nice to see Harry and Ron do stuff on their own. Like, not battling, but like making all the logical tasks. Fox and Dumbledore, I really like the ending, like the end after the big battle. It's very wholesome. Dobby is free. But on like the very last page, there's a break. On the last 2 pages, there's a break right here. And once again, these breaks are very jarring. I feel like that there's so much that they're just cutting out, and I mean, I don't want this book to be longer. It's a good book on its own, but some parts feel rushed because it's just like whoosh and stuff. It's definitely not showcasing her writing abilities that well. The Philosopher's Stone, is really well at showing her talent. The story is fine. It all just kind of is, like I said, like I said in my movie review for this, it's a very messy story. It's very messy execution. Does that mean it's bad? No, it doesn't. But still, still an amazing book, but it's not going to get as high as a rating as a Philosopher's Stone. It feels like a retread in the opening, and I know there's going to be a theme as it goes on. But yeah, still a good book, but it's not one that I just read if I'm not rereading all the books. If you don't know my rating system, a golden ticket's an 8 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10, and a trophy is 9.5 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10. There's no real reason to say that, because I give Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, the book, a solid 7.5 out of 10. Same score as the film. Knowing that it's not getting a golden ticket, I'll read the first sentence as the gag and then do the stay golden. You know what? Harry Potter was a highly unusual boy in many ways. That's the first sentence. Thank you guys for watching. Stay golden. For one thing, he hated summer holidays more than any other time of the year. Expecto Patronum. And grinning broadly at the look of horror on Uncle Vernon's face, Harry set off toward the station exit, rattling along in front of him, for what looked like a much better summer than the last. The end. Everyone, welcome back to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. I'm your defense against the dark arts teacher, Jaden, and you're watching Disney Channel. Bam, 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 bam. I did it! So today we're going to be taking a look at the third book in the Harry Potter saga, The Prisoner of Azkaban. But real quick, a few things. So my Chamber of Secrets review was kind of a bit low effort because, I mean, it was filmed at 8 in the morning after I woke up at 6, read it, and then I had to go pack because I was sleeping. Anyways, I'd like to give a quick apology for that. Also, I've been doing my book reviews in front of my movie collection, even though I have a bookshelf, so I was like, hey! Bookshelf, you know? If you know, you know. Also, I know I have this one, and this was before the whole Twitter controversy. This is probably a year after the land opened. And the paperback books that I've been using in my reviews and all of these hardcovers, except for the Ichabod in this one, because once again, before. Books 1 through 7 was all purchased at an independent bookstore, so I'm not personally funding J.K. Rowling. And for the last thing, I think, before I start praising her writing and stuff, I'd like to say that she is wrong. Her opinions, number one, should have been kept to herself. Number two, she shouldn't be blurting it out there, which is the same as keeping it to yourself. But still, humans are humans whether you like it or not. Anyways, also, that wasn't the last thing. I wasn't thinking posting Harry Potter videos in the month of June, which was, once again, written by a transphobic author, J.K. Rowling, and I'm so sorry for that. It was a very terrible inconvenience, but it's now July, so, you know, let's just get into it. I don't have anything else to say. Let's get straight into the review. After the success of the first 2 books in the Harry Potter saga, we all wanted a third one and a bunch of other ones. So in 1999, Bloomsbury published Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, and a year later in 2000, Scholastic did the same. Now just a quick nitpick here, and I know this is... most of you don't care, but I am in love with the British covers, and I got all the American versions, but you know, I'm in America. Even though I forgot to post a 4th of July video. Very terrible inconvenience as well. But I really want all the British versions, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. But I can choose the fact not to have this little nick this little thing right here. Well, I was tearing all the little price tags off from the independent bookstore I got it from. It was right there, and it left a little mark, you know? It's gonna kind of be a little bit annoying. And also, I had to be a Harry Potter fan in the aftermath of everything, especially... It's 2021, the movies came out, so let's say it's 2017. Alexa, what's 2021 minus 2007, which was the Deathly Hallows published?
2021 minus 2007 is 14.
So 14 years after, and then 2011, so 10 years. Way too long for it to be after its popularity, you know? It's kind of like being an MCU fan in 2052, where aliens rule the world and I'm a vampire. Oh shoot. Anyway, so this is going to be it for our Twilight book review. Okay, I'm getting off track. Anyways, let's get into the story itself. So before his 3rd year at Hogwarts, Harry Potter is still living at the Dursleys for some reason, and he gets some gifts from his friends for his birthday, which is in the first chapter, which is a little bit too long, you know? But then the Dursleys get a little visitor, and no, it's not Dobby. It's Vernon's sister, Marge. Rather than her one-day stay in the movie, she's here for a couple of nights before Harry completely, like, blows her up as a balloon and makes her fly away into the London sky. God, Aunt Marge set X. Ow. So, after the Dursleys are pissed off at him, he goes, I'm allowed to use magic. But no, you're not allowed to use magic. What they don't know doesn't hurt them. So then Harry goes off into the night, and then he stops at its bus stop, and then he sees a dog, which, spoiler alert, later turns out to be I should not have said that. And then this thing called the Knight bus just comes. I'm here! And then, oh yeah, also, for some reason, Sirius Black is on the Muggle news, and then Harry recognizes him after seeing a thing on him on the TV, and then he goes into the night bus, which the guy, not the driver, has his newspaper with Sirius Black conveniently, you know? Because convenience just doesn't matter! Happy birthday, Harry. So he goes to Hogwarts, and it's just a whole bunch of foreshadowing, and then there's this divination teacher who predicts something, who's also played by Emma Thompson in the movie. Anyways, so Hermione has a schedule that's like 9 a.m. divination, 9 a.m. Muggle studies, which for Hermione would be kind of taking an English class in China, which would be considered a foreign language, but you know. So they go to their classes, a bunch of stuff happens, Quidditch is better than ever. The Dementors, why did they choose those as school guards? Especially later, which at least in the films, they become like in an alliance with Lord Voldemort, which really isn't in it at all. The ending, but I'll get to that in just a little bit. Let's talk about Remus Lupin, who is the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, and is also God, he really should be friends with Jacob from Twilight. But you know who also was in the Twilight movies? Robbie P. E.E. Who was also Cedric freaking Diggory. No, it's Diggory. In the
Goblet of Fire, Dumbledore asked calmly.
This one right here. Go away, I'm filming a video. Who also makes a tiny little cameo in this one. It just shows how great of a guy he is, because after Harry goes off the field and starts getting the Dementor's kiss, which is a very weird name, I might add. He catches a snitch and then realizes what happens with Harry, and he's like, no, that doesn't count. I want a rematch. But of course, Hogwarts is like, you won fair and square, Hufflepuff team. Just because the Seeker on the other team, which is the only way to win Quidditch, went off and almost got murdered with a Dementor's kiss. Not to mention, he almost falls to the ground and dies. And if Dumbledore, who, unpopular opinion, I hate, by the way, not just in this one, but all the other ones. Honey! Who cares? You won, Hufflepuff! Zip it, diggity diggery dog! That made a whoosh sound. But yes, Quidditch is very good, and the Firebolt. Nimbus 2000? More like Nimbus should go on the ground end. Yeah! But yes, of course, Quidditch is very well written. This book is very well written, except for the fact that there are some grammar things that I'm pretty sure that I don't have any, like, off the top of my head, but they're kind of, it gets a little bit wonky. But one of my biggest gripes is that she's obviously not afraid with writing over 40-page chapters. So instead, J.K. spreads the Remus, Sirius, Snape, Peter Pettigrew plot twist into, like, 4 different chapters. Why? You had the whole time travel sequence split with all of Hermione's secret, and then a little bit in Owlpost again, which is a very stupid name for a chapter. But that's just kind of my gripes. The plot twist, it's like it's... Woo! Whoa, whoa, whoa! Plot twist everywhere! Pretend there's stuff coming at me. But I found my new favorite character in the whole saga so far. It's like right now, it's Hagrid, Dobby, and if you're counting the movies, Hermione played by Emma Watson because... Come on, it's Emma Watson! But there are 2 chapters that I absolutely adore because they're so fast-paced, get to the point, and it's just so satisfying. It's Chapter 7, Boggart in the Wardrobe, and then Chapter 12, The Patronus. And for 2 reasons. They're both very fast-paced and very well written, and the second reason, Remus flippin' Roomin'. Wait, that's not his name. Remus frickin' Lupin! My god. Hagrid, Dobby, Emma Watson. Let's just move this stuff around. Editing will do this for me. Lupin is my new favorite character. He's super well written, he's super calm, and whenever he's in it, the story just speeds up in pacing. Like, it's not bad without them, but it's kind of like how the movies are. The child acting's okay, but as soon as, like, an adult comes in, it starts some, like, pick up pace. And my god, does Hagrid's like, I don't know. I liked him in the Sorcerer's Stone the best, like, that's top tier Hagrid. But this is a very close second. The stuff he does with Buckbeak and the Hippogriff, and oh my god, Draco is such a little swear that makes Hermione say, Ron! What did she call them, though? But I'm kind of avoiding talking about the book because there's so much stuff that gets a build-up, but it's so shrunken down in the ending because it's so spread out that the chapters are filled. This book is very filler heavy. There's so much packed in there that kind of like kills it, you know? It just like the pacing is also just like plot twist after plot twist. It's just there's one scene that kind of explains it was my dad with the Patronus thing, and that was in Hermione's secret. The Boggart in the Wardrobe is my favorite chapter, and if you don't know my rating system, I'll be right back because it's over there. A golden ticket is an 8 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10, and a trophy is a 9.5 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10. I give Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, the book, a solid 9 out of 10. It is the best so far, and I can't wait to dive into the
Goblet of Fire, Dumbledore asked calmly.
Now for just a quick little fun stuff. I honestly prefer the movie better than this. I'm really not so I've been using the Stephen Fry audiobooks, and he does this thing that I thought was very funny at the end, where he did, and da-da-da-da-da. The end. But a thing that kind of bugged me was that in between like a chapter, he'd say a sentence, and then it would just stop. Dead silence. Chapter 15. Continued. Harry walked in, and it's just a whole thing. But this one, I could definitely feel the differentiation from the movie characters to this book ones. And I really am enjoying this format much better than the sit-down with the books. But I feel like the Goblet of Fire is going to take me much longer to read because I only have it in hardcover, and I can't really travel with it without, like, taking severe safety precautions or just finding a PDF or something. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and stay golden, everyone. Now think of a happy thought. And grinning broadly at the look of horror on Uncle Vernon's face, Harry set off toward the station exit, rattling along in front of him for what looked like a much better summer than the last. The end. Okay. Expecto Patronum! I got the invisibility cloak. Yeah. I solemnly swear that I'm up to no good. I solemnly swear that I'm up to no good. I solemnly... Oh, there it is. Hello everyone, my name is Jaden, and welcome back to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Today we are going to be reviewing the 4th book in the Harry Potter saga, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, Dumbledore asked calmly. So before I start, I'm going to do the whole spiel I do in the beginning of it. I don't support J.K. Rowling's views, I just like Harry Potter. I'm reading the books. Who cares anymore? I like Harry Potter, I come out and say it. I like the books, I don't support the author's views. Anyways, let's continue. I don't want to have a whole introduction like 3 minutes. Okay, so the Goblet of Fire starts out where they're in the Riddle house, and then they're like, whoa! There's like an old guy, and then the like Tom Riddle's families, like they like die and stuff, because... Yes, you know, though, this is when we're not going to children anymore. He's 14, then at this point on, it's now a YA series, I think. Then, like, Voldemort is, like, a little eraser head baby in a chair. He calls his snake, and then Wormtail's over there, and he's like, hey, you old guy who's peeking over the corner. By the way, did I mention there's an old guy peeking over the corner? Yeah. Oh, I see we have a visitor! Eat him! Yeah, no, he doesn't cast a spell in the movie. Speaking of the movie, my god, was I disappointed in this. This book is over 700 pages long. In the movie, without the credits, it's about 220... No. It's about 2 hours and 20 minutes long. Where was all this? They cut out Winky, Ludo Bagman, the Quidditch World Cup. They butchered the 3rd task. They butchered the 1st task. Okay. Spew. They butchered Barty Crouch Jr. They took away all the mystery. And it's just Harry did who put you in the Goblet of Fire. They ruined that mystery too! Oh yeah, I also didn't know that Barty Crouch Jr. killed Barty Crouch Sr. So yeah, that's oops! So yeah, and then basically they go to the Quidditch World Cup, and then after that, then there's like a whole, like, the Death Eaters come back, they cast the Dark Mark, which is a thing that came out of nowhere. Yeah. Sorry if I'm in a bad mood. I just sat down and reviewed one terrible movie and one okay movie, so yeah. But they cast the Dark Mark, and then Winky gets Harry's wand, and then it's a whole thing. Then they go to Hogwarts, and Percy's like, well, actually, they go back to the Burrow, which Harry gets invited to in a very funny sequence where Fred and George gives him a little piece of candy, Dudley, and then his tongue blows up. Anyways, Rita Skeeter sucks. You know what? I'm give up on the synopsis. Triwizard Tournament, 3 tasks, Yule Ball, yeah. So my 2 favorite chapters, and here, let's go through something real quick, because I really need to stretch this runtime so I can get time codes on my videos. The Philosopher's Stone, my 2 favorite chapters was Quidditch and The Mirror of Erised. The Chamber of Secrets, my 2 favorite chapters was The Burrow and whatever the other Quidditch one was against, what's it called? Slytherin, the Quidditch one. Prisoner of Azkaban, The Boggart in the Wardrobe, and The Patronus. Then this one, Rita Skeeter Scoop in the first task. Now let's go through the worst. The Yule Ball and the Pensieve, The Vanishing Glass and the Letters from No One, At Dervish and Bangs, I think that one's called, and Gilderoy Lockhart's chapter, and then Prisoner of Azkaban. Anything without Remus Lupin. This one, I really like Rita Skeeter Scoop because I love Hagrid, and yeah. And then the first task, I like dragons, so yeah. Pretty simple explanations. You definitely get to learn more about Hagrid in this book. But here, let's go back through my character lineup about who's my favorite. So, at number 1, we have Remus Lupin. At number 2, we have Hagrid. Number 3, we have Dobby. And then, for number 4, we have Severus Snape. Number 5, we have, when the person I used to hate, I'm really getting fonder of him in this one, Albus Dumbledore. Now, you're probably wondering, hey, didn't you say Emma Watson, Hermione Granger, she's not in the books. I didn't like Dumbledore in the first 3 books, he kind of sucked, but then in this one, I started liking him towards like second half going forward. And I'll mention something about the axe in just a little bit. And you're probably wondering, where's Harry? Where's Ron? Well, Harry actually replaces Severus Snape because Severus Snape kind of sucks, and Ron goes right under Albus Dumbledore. So yeah, that's pretty simple. So Rita Skeeter. Well, there's only one simple thing. Avada Kedavra, she just got to go! Gotta go. Well, luckily, guess what? She does go. I'm not gonna spoil it for you. Actually, no, you don't care. Hermione blackmails her by catching her because she's an unregistered animagus, and then she goes, she's a beetle. She gets turned into a beetle. Hermione traps her in a jar, and yeah, so she says, yeah, you won't be able to do anything because you're my pet beetle. And then she's like, yeah, it's a whole thing. They kind of killed Malfoy at the end. Malfoy grabbing Goyle. Not kill, but you know. It counts. The Triwizard Tournament, it's fine. I mean, it's definitely not the best thing, but it definitely shouldn't have been brought into Hogwarts, but beggars can't be choosers, and I'm kind of anxious to get into the Ward of the Phoenix, because my whole goal is to finish this this series by the end of the summer. This video is coming out in August, but today is July 14th while I'm filming this, so yeah. But the Goblet of Fire, it's just fun, dumb fun. You know, the Goblet of Fire, the last few chapters definitely, it's my biggest gripe with the Prisoner of Azkaban. Should have been one, like, big chapter, because she's obviously not afraid of writing 50-page long chapters. If a book's 800 pages, it's like, it down here, actually, you can't see it, by Stephen King, which I need to get a new copy of. She's obviously not afraid. This one's over 1,000 pages long, and then this one's 800 pages long, which is the longest book in the saga. Come on. That's, like, entirely too long. But I don't know. I've heard great and terrible things about it. Not terrible, but yeah. Then this one, she definitely, something I noticed that she's really talented with is having the book being written from a third-person perspective, but still having it from Harry's point of view. So it's like not straight up saying, hi, I'm Harry Potter, you're reading my story. Rather, it's from Harry's point of view, but saying Harry did this in a super sneaky way that's really well done. Cedric's death, I actually thought the way the reaction was better in the film, where it was like, my boy! My boy! I think it's either in the first Halloween or the second Halloween remake. I don't know. There's a kind of a scene like that where they see that Annie's dead. I haven't watched it. I just know because the kill count. But yeah. By the way, the American cover of the Goblet of Fire, absolutely terrifying. Harry's just too happy. Cedric Diggory telling Harry Potter to take a bath, kind of weird. Mad-Eye Moody, I grew to like him. Why'd you do that? He was like good. There was a good like Hitchcock moment where what's his face, Barty Crouch Sr. was like going, the van is to save me, Voldemort. Okay, so hi Weatherby. By the way, Percy's now worked for the Ministry as as Barty Crouch's assistant, and he goes by Weatherby now. Well, Barty Crouch calls him Weatherby. But yeah, I really don't like the Ministry right now. Cornelius Fudge sucks. And I definitely feel the setup for Order of the Phoenix, because I already know what that one's about. But yeah, I don't really have much to say about this one. Even though this video is probably going to be like 14 minutes long. The writing was well, but let's get back to the act thing I was talking about 2 minutes ago. These books, from what I've read so far, I've read 1, 2, 3, 4 of them so far. I've read one of them twice. Has something that's either a 3-act structure or a 4-act structure. Where basically, the Sorcerer's Stone, Chamber of Secrets, and Prisoner of Azkaban is all a 3-act structure. Where the first act is with the Dursleys or before Hogwarts. And yeah, and then it's either going to the Burrow, whatever, before they're at Hogwarts. The second act is from the beginning of the first term all the way to Christmas, and then the final act is from when school starts back up to the end of the school year. This one, 4 acts. Starts off with the Dursleys and the Quidditch World Cup as 1 act. And then they go to Hogwarts, that's the second act. Then that ends with the first task, second task, third task. The second task is its own thing because it has a Yule Ball attached to it and a whole bunch of other stuff. But yet the third task is all by itself. And the reason why is because everything that follows. There's a whole battle. I think it's called Priori Incantatum, whatever it's called. That's what the whole chapter's, one of them called, where basically Voldemort and Harry, they go into their duel, and it's like red from Harry, Expelliarmus versus Avada Kedavra, and then it turns into like this golden string, golden web, and then they see like the ghosts. I wouldn't say ghosts because like I don't know if they're ghosts, kind of just like figures being from the people that were killed with Voldemort's wand. So that means Peter Pettigrew killed Cedric Diggory with Voldemort's wand. Whatever. Then I listen to the audiobooks, right? I listened to the Stephen Fry audiobook, who reads the British version versus the American. They did something backwards, and they changed it in the American, or maybe he just read it wrong. I don't know. Why would it wouldn't be official. It wouldn't be, like, posted if he read it wrong. So, in the American version, James Potter comes first, where in the UK version, the one at least I listened to, Lily comes first. And that completely screws up the meaning and lore of it, because that means that this one, America, James comes first, and he gets Lily, showing that he's kind of more cowardice. Whereas in the UK version, it's Lily saying, I'm going to go get your father, he's going to help you how to fight. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I love that he offered, I love the way that, listen, Bagman scams Fred and George, then Harry gives them his, reward for the Triwizard Tournament, and to say, open your joke shop, we could all use a good laugh right now, which I thought was a pretty good message. I mean, yeah, be generous, but yeah, have a good message while being generous, you know? But, yeah, I really respect this book. It's definitely it gets a little filler heavy with, Voldemort's monologue. I don't like Voldemort. In the films, I thought he wasn't scary, especially in The Order of the Phoenix, where he went, oh, did I scare you, Harry? Did I scare you? Scary yet? No. If you don't know my rating system, a golden ticket's an 8 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10. If you don't know, and a trophy is a 9.5 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10. I give Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire a 9.5 out of 10. It's definitely really well done. And now, wait, end card. End card. I meant title card. Yeah, it's just a whole thing. I'm really anxious to get into the Order of the Phoenix, but I really don't know. I don't have it, so I'm kind of screwed, but I don't know if I want to read The Cursed Child, because I've heard it's canon, I heard it's not. But it's kind of like a script instead, so I really don't have a clue. But I'm going to read the first 7 books by the end of the summer, 100%. I'm not going to be ready to hop back into the real world yet until I finish the last page of the Deathly Hallows. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Where's my thing? So yeah, once again, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay golden, everyone. I think there's going to be... I don't have really any videos planned. I don't know what I'm going to do for the rest of August, but I think September's going to be Stephen King September. I'm going to try to push that out. I haven't read any books, so I'm going to be doing some movies like the It miniseries and stuff. But yeah, I hope next year it's a lot of stuff. But I'm so excited for this. I'm actually getting somewhere. I've read over... 1,000 pages of literature in less than a month, so yeah. Okay, sorry. I think there's going to be a cut gag in the end card, so yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and stay golden, everyone. Alexa Knox.
Okay.
I have TV lighting it up. Alexa, Lumos.
Okay.
Hey! So today we're going to be reviewing Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. So over the summer, this is probably August now, I've been reading all the Harry Potter books. I have 2 left, and my goal is to be finishing it, the whole series by the end of summer. When I'm filming this, it is currently the 20th of July, and I just finished the Order of the Phoenix. So, I'm going to do my same disclaimer. I do not support J.K. Rowling's views. Whatever. I just like Harry Potter. I like her creation, not the author. So, yeah. Before I do the Order of the Phoenix, I'd like to give a quick shout out to the Disaster Artist. I read this before I started doing these, like, reviews and stuff. So, if I eventually do a reread, I will do a review on that. And I also made a book report on the Disaster Artist, so yeah. And also, I'm not doing a Fear Street review. I tried watching the second one and got severely bored, so if they're doing a sequel to the trilogy or a spin-off, then I might consider it. But yeah, no, I am not doing a Fear Street review so far. So yeah, roll intro. So Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix is the 5th entry in the 7-book saga, and, well, to describe it in one word, it was long. Very unnecessarily long. I don't want to get into the plot. It gets super confusing and stupid, so let's just get into a not quick review. To review. Book review. So, this book, it starts off with Harry and Dudley getting demented. Okay, I'll do a plot synopsis. Starts off with Harry and Dudley getting demented. What's the verb for when you get the Dementors? Kiss. They get kissed by Dementors, or they start to. And then this old lady, whose name is like Mrs. Fligstick or something. Yeah, so basically she walks up after Harry uses the Expecto Patronum, he uses a stag, and then the lady's like, oh, come back to our house, and then there's this guy named Mundungus who's supposed to be there, but then he left, and then Harry has to go to a hearing because he used magic outside of school when he was under the age of 17, and so he goes to a hearing, which, the Ministry of Magic's kind of cool. Also, he goes to number 12 Grimmauld Place, which holds the Order of the Phoenix. Roll credits, which consists of a bunch of characters that we know, and that's it. I don't know. Everyone in this book kind of sucked as a person, except for Luna, who was just really weird. I wouldn't say sympathized. I felt bad for her because they were making fun of the Quibbler, and because it's like, come on. Yeah. Harry, so basically, he was in the blue ever since Cedric Diggory died in the Goblet of Fire. Yeah, it's just, then he goes to Hogwarts. Someone who's described as Toad-like was at the hearing. She was not a part of the jury. She was, like, next to the Minister Cornelius Fudge, who, yeah, but Dolores Umbridge. Whenever someone mentioned the character Dolores Umbridge, I always made the joke that I was like, oh, Dolores Claiborne. that's a Stephen King book. Ha ha ha. But then he goes to school, and then Dolores Umbridge is there. She's the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, and she's like, she described as being Toad-like. Yeah, and then okay. And then she's like, then she gets taken away by centaurs after she does a whole bunch of cruel stuff. She tries to get rid of the people. She disapproves of it. Yada, yada, yada. Then she gets taken off by centaurs, which is, I'll get to that. And then they go into the Department of Mysteries after Harry starts getting visions that Sirius Black has been captured, and then, oh yeah, there's a whole thing in St. Mungo's with Gilderoy Lockhart, and then basically Sirius Black, apparently he was captured by Voldemort, or sorry, he who must not be named. Then they go to the Department of Mysteries, and then they do that she's not too daddy after they try to steal the prophecy, and yeah, then Sirius dies. I don't feel bad because it kind of sucked in this book, but yeah, everyone kind of sucked. But then we learn about the prophecy, so yeah. My biggest gripe about this book is that it had so many pacing issues that it went from something super exciting and then it just dropped. And this is where I think that the movie is superior. This is probably the only one. So right now it's book, close, but book, and unfortunately, film. See, this book is way too long. I know that's a common thing, but yeah. And then there's the whole final battle at the end. I was like, oh, the rest of the book isn't great, but the final battle between Dumbledore versus Lord Voldemort is like, wow! I honestly thought it was extremely underwhelming. The stuff that's like from, I think it's the chapter, the Department of Mystery. I think, yeah, everything that happens in the Department of Mysteries all the way to Lost Prophecy. The Lost Prophecy I thought was a good chapter. It was a very pensive, I think that's the word, like very dialogue-driven chapter between Harry and Dumbledore, and it definitely was pretty well done. But I don't feel bad because we realize that Sirius Black isn't that great of a person. He, I wouldn't say tortured, but he was definitely, I hate using this word. Alexa, what's a synonym for bully?
Synonyms for bully meaning domineering person include oppressor, rascal, or ruffian.
So, Sirius Black was kind of the ruffian to Snape. Yeah, it was just a really boring book. I mean, it was, the ending is so overrated. I mean, the final battle. The ending I thought was pretty well done. Kind of. it definitely is one. It doesn't feel like a filler book, rather a book with lots of filler. Like, technically, if you think about it, Prisoner of Azkaban is a filler book, but it doesn't feel that way. This book is not a filler book. It definitely is like pushes the plot forward of the whole, like, arc over all the books. But it just kind of dies in the middle. Dolores Umbridge is so terrible. I wouldn't say she's a well-written character, but compared to this book, to the movie portrayed her as this little, like, this false sense of, like, motherhood and just kind of annoying and stuff. While the book, on the other, the book was very, like, peppy, but also she wasn't, like, she refused to hide her cruel side at some points. But she would only go into this motherly thing, and she's definitely crueler in the book than the film. But I also think that deteriorates from her character, and though she's a really well-written character, in the fact that J.K. Rowling, as much as I dislike her point of view and how she deals with criticism and politics and stuff, she shouldn't be posting that stuff on Twitter. Considering everything, she knows how to write characters that you hate, you love, well, most of the time. She definitely has some trouble writing characters that you love, but she definitely was pretty good at making you hate her, because there are some times where you just really wanted to. Luna Lovegood was weird. Once again, I talked about how I kind of felt bad for her with the quibbler thing, because it's like, you're insulting someone's job. And, yeah, Bellatrix, I don't find her intimidating. I just find her incredibly annoying, and I know that's probably the main source of her character. But yeah, I know this is a movie type thing, but I'm not the biggest fan of Helena Bonham Carter. I mean, I just feel like she appeared in way too many Tim Burton movies, which killed my enjoyment of her performances. But you know, she was pretty good as Bellatrix though, because she gave such a great performance at making her annoying. Also, the actress who played Umbridge in the film, perfect. The film is just so much better paced. But they even made the ending better. Where the book, it's very, like, I felt it was very vague to me. I was kind of confused, and I don't know if it was just my attention span or something that was running out. But yeah, it was just such a slow book. It's not terrible, but it's not great, you know? I definitely think it's still better than the Chamber of Secrets. That's like the epitome of Harry Potter. That's where, like, that's the year where it started getting way too complicated for her to write the whole story. And then this one, I think this one is definitely overwriting. There wasn't any 50-page chapters, thank God. But I definitely think it can be compared to some of Stephen King's work, which I yet to read. But what I've heard is that, like, in Dreamcatcher, Bag of Bones, what's it called? Amnesia? No. Yeah, Insomnia. I heard it's super overwritten and it's really slow and boring. I would kind of say that about this book. It's way too long, and it takes kind of way too long to get going. All it is kind of, I don't know if it would be considered political corruption or anything, but all it is, yes, he is back! No, he isn't. Alright, he's not back, but he is back the whole time. And then as soon as he's proven wrong, he's like, oh, but still screw you, Dumbledore, which he did. It was just such an annoying book, because it's just so much had honestly so much potential story-wise. Had such a great plot. Probably, honestly, the best plot of the series. Probably rivaling it is the Goblet of Fire. Also, it's a fun fact about the Goblet of Fire, or just me in general. I'm not the biggest fan of tournament-style books. I'm not interested in the Hunger Games at all. Because it's just, the plot doesn't sound interesting. I've tried to read it before now. Yeah, my review, I probably, it's in my playlist of it. So, yeah. I don't know what to think about this. It's so polarizing. It reminds me of how I felt about The Lighthouse, which was a Robert Eggers movie that was released in 2019. And I did not know how to feel about this one. I thought it was really slow. And I could definitely compare it to this in the same sense that it was just so, it meandered quite a bit. It was just a lot. I wouldn't say nothingness. It was a lot of setting the tone. But at least in that movie, it was still leading up to something. Something I consider extraordinary ending. I love Robert Eggers. But The Order of the Phoenix, I was so disappointed by the ending. I remember hearing it, the movie's better, but the ending of the book is spectacular. I was underwhelmed, honestly. The final battle was way too underwhelming, in my opinion. Yeah, I don't really know how to explain much further on this. There was so much that shouldn't have been in there. Like, there was a whole thing between Cho and Harry that I didn't care about. Shouldn't have been in there. A lot of stuff shouldn't be in here. So the stuff I did like about it was that some of the stuff was great. I really in love with all the chapter illustrations that are up there. I know that's not a part of the book itself. Oh, kind of is. But like a part that's not a part of the story itself. Once again, I love Umbridge. Luna Lovegood, even though she is kind of weird, I still really adore the way she was written. She was like written to be someone who gets in the trance, whereas in the films, she's just she's not a main character, even though she's a part of Dumbledore's army, which I thought was funny. But everything about Dumbledore's army, I like Ginny in this book a lot. I dislike Dumbledore, but he gives a good reason at the end, so yeah, I'm not doing a character ranking because there weren't any new characters I loved in this book. Voldemort was, oh my god, he is not intimidating to me. I don't know what's worse, how he was portrayed in the books, or how kind of childish he is against Dumbledore. He's so terrified and like scrunches up in a corner like, monster on my butt. He's acting like Dumbledore's the boogeyman. It's just stupid, honestly. It's number 12 Grimble. The house elf number 12 Grimmauld Place is named Creature, and it's he was such a thorn in everyone's side. And then Dumbledore's like, oh, you got to respect Creature. And Harry, and I'm like, no. He's like, he knows that it's an insult, and he's just like, oh, the half-blood, I used to always suck. It's just a whole thing. The Malfoys still suck. Draco, the Weasley is my king song. So terrible. It's so cruel. And the way they fought back, it was like, one of the common criticisms was like, oh, but Harry broke against Dudley earlier in the book. It doesn't feel like Harry. He punches Draco multiple times. I thought it was well deserved. Draco sucks. Alright? I don't care if it's like, oh, Tom Felton! I love Tom Felton! I don't care. Honestly. Have your own celebrity crush. I don't care. But he's such a terrible antagonist. He's not even like a love-to-hate type guy. Like Umbridge. We all agree that we hate her a lot. Fred and George Weasley were probably, well, I don't know, at their peak in this book. I don't know how they are in A Half-Blood Prince, but yeah, absolutely hilarious. They're definitely using their money that they got from Harry pretty well. Yeah, this is probably going to be a rant review. I don't even know. But yeah. I don't know what else to say. The prophecy was pretty interesting. Some ideas that were introduced, let's say, in The Prisoner of Azkaban, like they should have come back. Like, at least time turners, like, use time turners to save the world or something. But so far, my ranking right now is Chamber of Secrets, Order of the Phoenix, Sorcerer's Stone or Philosopher's Stone, depending on where you're from, Prisoner of Azkaban, and the Goblet of Fire. That's my ordering so far. So yeah, I'm not going to give a definitive ranking. Order of the Phoenix is my second or third favorite film. Yeah, my favorite film is Deathly Hallows Part 2. And for second, it's competing with Prisoner of Azkaban. Even though it's not that great of an adaptation, it still gets the point across. And yeah. And it was such shot well in music and everything. Speaking of which, the film has one of my favorite pieces of music that came from anything from the saga, which is Fireworks. I actually have it as my ringtone. I love it so much. Dolores Umbridge is saying, this is turning into a movie review. I don't care. Yeah, this, it definitely could have been accompanied by a really, like, a much better editor. Same thing with it. I think he said that he wishes that he shortened it, and, yeah, she also said, I think, that she wishes she shortened it. But, yeah, I can't wait to get into the Half-Blood Prince. It definitely looked much shorter. This one is almost 900 pages long, which, honestly, it's like, oh, but the books grow with the people that read them. They shouldn't be almost as long as a Stephen King book in the 80s. Alright? Look, I understand the appeal of long books, but, like, when I finished this, it didn't even feel like I earned something. Like, when I watched The Irishman, I feel like, I wouldn't say rewarded, but like, it's just, I feel like I did something that I get, like, I say, I did this. I don't feel happy about, like, finishing this book. I love this series so much. This is second to weakest entry because it had some good ideas. It just crashed, but it had probably one of the, I think, the two best chapters. Not the two best chapters. I'm really excited for the Princess Tale Witch and the Deathly Hallows. Let me see which chapters are in here. Let me find my two favorite chapters, because as previously, I forgot what I said, what my favorite chapters in the other ones, but let me find these ones. So my runner-up for favorite chapters is The Lost Prophecy. Or, yeah, in my two favorite chapters, definitively, are Dumbledore's Army and The Hearing. They're not in any particular order. But, of the Phoenix, yeah, get it, I get it, you laughed. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to do a Cursed Child review. I'm not there yet. But it's a play, and I've heard it's not canon, but that's just a whole 50-50 thing. So I might do that afterwards. But I at least want to read the 7-book saga by the end of the summer as I'm recording these. I don't want to get into my writing system. I feel like I have more stuff to say. I'm just waiting for my camera to pause so I can actually go on longer. So I said I don't feel bad about Sirius's death because I don't feel like he was good in this book. And I don't know, because, like, I'm not one who says, oh, that doesn't feel like Sirius. It feels like Sirius, but that's not a good thing. It's because he was one that tormented Snape. He was a ruffiest, or whatever it's called. He was one that bullied Snape. He was a big jerk. James Potter, too. But the occlumency lessons were pretty good. I pronounced it right. I always pronounced it occlumency. Occlumency. Whatever. Yeah, I really liked the cover, though, compared to the Goblet of Fire, which terrifies me. But yeah, 2 Harry Potter videos in a row, yeah. So I don't know what much to say. I don't feel bad for his death. I mean, yes, it's a loss to have a character, but you can't have a character that's not... If you're going to write out someone's death that we're supposed to feel so terribly bad for, write them well and make us care for them. She written him really well in Prisoner of Azkaban and the Goblet of Fire, and then they decide to be like, oh, you got attacked by Dementors, even though I almost had the problem in Azkaban too. Well, I had to stay inside. I couldn't walk out into vitamin D all day. It's stupid. He's definitely complaining. Tonks, she's fine. I mean, I don't prefer anything, but like, she's fine. Mad-Eye Moody, the real one, is, once again, they're not really in it. Mrs. Weasley was kind of annoying in this book, and now Hermione, luckily she gave up on Spew. I hope, I swear to God, if there's a chapter in the Half-Blood Prince dedicated to Spew. In the Goblet of Fire, there was the House Self-Liberation Front chapter. I actually pretty like that chapter because it gave us an inside glimpse on it gave us an inside glimpse on the lives of the house elves. This one, it's just, yeah. She was incredibly annoying in this book, as always. That's why I prefer movie Hermione. Though she's different and stuff, she definitely takes all the stuff away. She's not as, like, excruciatingly annoying as she is in the books. Ron, I love Ron. He's my favorite well, I like Harry Potter because he's Harry Potter, who, I don't understand why he's such a great role model. He's not that great in this book. He shouldn't be followed that way, because then he starts blaming himself, and it's like, oh yes, you have to get through the cycles of grief. But you don't need to really do that in this book, because he knew he was stupid, but describing the ways of grief is something that I feel like shouldn't have been there, because Harry, that's something, and it's weeks after, but you can't set up these stages of grief, have them in one chapter, then be like, 2 weeks later he goes to Hagrid, who came back. Yeah, Dolores Umbridge fires everyone, but there's so much time jumping, which was my problem in Chamber of Secrets. It's not as much, but the final chapter, so much time jumping, it's just ridiculous, yeah. I probably had the worst thing to say about this one, but I still have it a high rating because it's still a Harry Potter book, still really well written. I feel like this is more of a rant review. Yeah, but Harry was kind of stupid in this one. And, this whole entire book should have been reasons why Harry Potter isn't a Ravenclaw. Dumbledore standing up for Dumbledore's army, saying that it was his idea, was magnificent. And Hermione's fake bawling in Umbridge's office was much better executed in the book than the film. So yeah. My rating system. Golden Ticket is 8 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10, and a trophy is a 9.5 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10. Let me go get him. I give Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix an 8 out of 10, which is a golden ticket. It still has such a high rating because it was still an incredible book. It was just second worst out of the saga. It wasn't as bad. I wouldn't say, because they're not bad books. This one was just so many pacing issues. It's just, the things I liked about it was that it was well written and like it described stuff, even though it went over-explaining. It had such great ideas that were lost in potential, and it wasn't as like just a big, I wouldn't say a mess, but messy as the Chamber of Secrets. But yeah, I think next week will also be I think next week will also be a Harry Potter video, Half-Blood Prince review, and then I think after that it would be going into Stephen King's September, which I'll be reviewing Stephen King films, and then I think I'll be able to if I won't be able to get it out in August, I'll squeeze Deathly Hallows and Stephen King September, because I don't want to wait till October for that, and then yeah. I think I'll be doing the 2 It movies. I'm not going to do the miniseries, and The Shining and Doctor Sleep as 2 dual reviews in the same month, and then yeah. So, once again, thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, no. So anyways, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. That was my kind of rant review on The Order of the Phoenix, 8 out of 10. High rating, but even though it's a big rant, but yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching, and mischief managed. No, that's not how I open the video. And Alexa, Knox.
Okay.
Oh, here it is. Okay. There is something super serious and secret that I have residing inside this box. Yes. It is a wand. But not just any wand. It is, of course, the Dark Lord's wand. They were reviewing Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, but before that, I just wanted to say, all the slipcovers off here for a reason. I just wanted to acknowledge how beautiful these hardbacks are onto the slipcovers. Like, here's the Philosopher's Stone, or Sorcerer's Stone America, and here's the Chamber of Secrets. This one's kind of roughed up, and then here's the Prisoner of Azkaban, another gorgeous one. The Philosopher's Stone, though, it's my favorite slipcover. I just gotta put that right there. The Goblet of Fire, some red in these ones. Okay. The Order of the Phoenix, which is kind of probably the ugliest one so far. And then the Half-Blood Prince, which is second gorgeous to the Sorcerer's Stone. It's just purple on black. It's absolutely stunning. And then the final book, the Deathly Hallows. This one is very, like, modest? I don't know what the word is. So, roll the intro. So today we're going to be reviewing the penultimate and 6th book in the Harry Potter saga, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Of course, before I start any of these, I'd like to say that I do not condone any of J.K. Rowling's pretty much gross behavior. Whether or not what she thinks, I personally disagree. She should definitely keep her opinions to herself and not be posting that stuff on social media. I know this is a couple years past. I just decided to read the books after watching all the movies. But yeah, anyways, so get on with the review. Anything I say about J.K. Rowling, I'm not talking about her as a person. Whether or not she's great, I don't know, nor do I really care. I'm talking about the piece of work she created, because even, doesn't matter how much you hate her, you can't deny how gorgeous it is. So yeah. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. So this one didn't take a lot out of me. It was definitely much easier to get through than the Order of the Phoenix. Quick plot run through. So Harry's still suffering some sort of depression, and he realized that Dumbledore was that he can actually confide in Dumbledore much more now. And then and then basically Dumbledore goes to the Dursleys' house, for which Harry's still at for some reason. And he's like kindly insults, like, he's so nice and calm, but insults the Dursleys so much, which I find absolutely hilarious. And then we meet a teacher, a new professor that's coming back, called Professor Slughorn, Horace Slughorn. And he is weird. I don't really know what to say about him. He's a lot to take in, because I liked him in the movie better, even though, okay, this is really bugging me. I regret doing that, but I prefer movie version him just because of how, like, peppy and funny he is, compared to the book version where he's kind of like a seal. I don't know, okay. Compared to the book version to where he's kind of like just a grumpy old man, I don't know. He's more irritable, but yeah. He took place over potions, which, yeah. I actually just remembered the actual opening to this book, where it doesn't take place from Harry's point of view. Rather, it takes place from the Prime Minister of London, or Britain, or whatever, who is in contact with Cornelius Fudge. And also, the chapter after that is called Spinner's End, and that's where Narcissa Malfoy and Bellatrix Lestrange go to Snape for help. Well, Narcissa does. Bellatrix is just as annoying as ever. And yeah, so basically, they go to Diagon Alley because Harry gets sent to the Burrow with Dumbledore, and he apparates for the first time and he hates it. He goes to the Burrow, and then they go to Diagon Alley, and then they go to see Weasley's Wizard Wheezes, which is hilarious. I love it so much. I mean, stupid jokes and poo. It's stupid constipation thing. Does those words just come out of my mouth? But yeah, then they follow Malfoy, who went into Borgin and Burke's. She loves tongue twisters, doesn't she? Along with plant names too. Yeah, they follow Malfoy into Borgin and Burke's, and he needs to mend something. And then basically the whole thing is a back and forth between. Well, so it's Harry trying to get out of going to Slughorn's party because he went there on a train, and yeah, he went there on the train to Hogwarts. Harry and Dumbledore's private lessons were basically they're going into the past of Lord Voldemort. Yeah, and then they find out what Horcruxes are, which I kind of don't really understand why Dumbledore needed that specific memory. It's like, I think he was just making sure it was concrete evidence, maybe. But yeah. And then it was a whole thing where Harry was ordered by Dumbledore to go fetch one of Slughorn's memories, and then he was trying to track down Malfoy to see what he was up to, because he kept disappearing, and his name kept disappearing off the Marauders map. He was trying to escape Slughorn's party, trying to deal with Quidditch practices. He was trying to keep Ron and Hermione from fighting, which Ron kind of becomes a couple with Lavender for like 100 or 200 pages, and Hermione doesn't like that, but whatever. And then there's also another thing about Harry liking Ginny, which I thought was actually much more interesting and compelling in the book than the film, because it's all awkward in the film, and then in this one it's just great, and then Ron is just Ron is always great. I don't know about the Deathly Hallows yet, of course, because I haven't read it, but this one probably has the most emotional chapter, which, believe it or not, is not Dumbledore's death. Rather, it's after the burial, when they're talking about Lily and James's death and that stuff, and then I literally started crying. It was so sad and sweet and whatever. I love Hagrid so much again. Yeah, it's definitely the Dawn Before the Storm type film, but yeah, it's just a lot. I actually kind of have a hot take on the Voldemort memory scenes, because I actually wasn't the biggest fan of them, only because I felt like they slowed down the story quite a bit, and they took up quite large chunks. But it was definitely, there were points where it kind of overtook the story, which I felt was kind of, but it wasn't on balance with everything else that's happening in Voldemort's memories, even though that's part of the main plot. And then the Half-Blood Prince thing is like pushed away for at least like 3 chapters, and then comes back out of nowhere. But it also has one of the greatest plot twists of Snape being the Half-Blood Prince, which I thought was really good, even though I knew he was the Half-Blood Prince. It was so, like, who would have seen that coming? And then, yeah, Dumbledore's death, Snape killing Dumbledore, it's brilliantly written. The last chapter, I think it's the last 3, after the lightning struck tower, what's it called? The Phoenix Lament, and then the Princess, okay. The lightning struck tower, the Flight of the Prince, the Phoenix Lament, and the White Tomb. Brilliantly written. I loved the cave, but it once again kind of dragged on. The Horcrux thing, very slow and stuff. But I feel like that the British cover of this is kind of a little tangent, but the British cover of this is so much better than the American cover, only because this one, it shows the main purpose of the story. Actually, no, I take that back. The British cover spoils the big event in the cave because it's like with fire and stuff. And that doesn't happen until almost the ending. So yeah, no, I take that back. I prefer the American version cover, whatever it's called, of them looking in the pensieve. Which I felt like was definitely well set up. 2 books before it instead of 1 book. Because in the Goblet of Fire, they introduced the Lovegoods, or they said their last name. And then in the Order of the Phoenix, Luna Lovegood became a character. Horcruxes were introduced in the Half-Blood Prince by name, but they were actually introduced in the Chamber of Secrets, which, funnily enough, barely anything was foreshadowed in the Sorcerer's Stone, other than the fact that Voldemort was a big threat. Oh yeah, also one of my biggest gripes about Chamber of Secrets was that there was no mention of Sirius Black or anything. I felt like they definitely should have said something more about Sirius Black other than, I borrowed it from Sirius Black. That's not Hagrid's accent. Where in the Prisoner of Azkaban, Hagrid's like, he's like all mad about it, and he's just talking so, just, you know, the usual. It's so, I kind of found that annoying. She definitely isn't that great at foreshadowing, but this book, the Felix Felicis, and the last few chapters, brilliantly written. I love the cave once again. But something I noticed was how many parallels it had with the Sorcerer's Stone, or Philosopher's Stone, or the Preposterous Stone from wherever you're from. Because it starts out not from Harry's point of view, but rather a Muggle, which is the Prime Minister, but not that. Also, the Unbreakable Vow. Yeah, one of the things that I absolutely love about it was that, 2 things. J.K. Rowling knows how to make it third person, but still in the point of view of Harry Potter, you know? I found that incredibly interesting. I know that she's not the only one who's done it. I just thought that it was brilliant writing. Whether you like her or disagree with her or whatever, she's still a great writer. And in the Half-Blood Prince, there was discovering new things, that awe, that like dream-like feeling, which was there in the Order of the Phoenix, but not as prominent in this. Also, Creature is now Harry's elf, which he uses to his great advantage, but also Dobby's here too, and I love that. Number 12 Grimmauld Place is also his place, but he inherited from Sirius, and like, he even said he can't go in there without feeling like terrible grief, guilty, yeah. I don't really know how great to say this book is. It's definitely the best one. I actually thought that I'd be annoyed by the romances. I actually thought, because they were on equal with everything else that was happening except for Voldemort's memory, which I felt like just took over the story a little bit too much. And yeah, I was like, it was interesting, but not like, it didn't feel like it deserved enough to take over the story. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, Albus Dumbledore. Okay, let's go through this real quickly. He was okay. Yeah, he really wasn't there because, didn't he go to Azkaban or something? No, that was in the first one. Yeah, he was okay. I don't know, I don't remember. Dislike. Kind of like, because that last chapter, loved. It was definitely, unlike Sirius Black, they set up the relationship between he and Harry so perfectly. I was like, even though I didn't cry when Dumbledore died, probably because I knew it was coming, I was still absolutely like, I felt terrible for him, Harry, everyone that was there except for the Death Eaters. But yeah, Snape versus Harry, incredibly interesting. And then my 2 favorite chapters, as said in all of these, were Sectum Sempra and After the Burial. And my close runner-up is The Cave, The Phoenix Lament, The White Tomb, whatever, you know. Yeah, my least favorite chapters, once again, are probably Voldemort's memories. And I know he's some people's favorite character, cough cough, movie Flame Morgan, whatever. But he's probably one of the least interesting characters of the story, because they foremention or whatever that Snape's kind of the same way. I don't know. There was one thing about the memories, though, that I thought were incredibly interesting. And that was how Harry felt sympathetic towards Voldemort. Young Voldemort, Tom Riddle, whatever he's called, like, whatever. But it's just, once again, takes over the story a little too much. But yeah, I don't really know much else to say. I don't want to go on for half an hour for the Order of the Phoenix, but they're writing just so well. I just don't know how to put this. Like, I loved nearly everything about it, except, once again, has pacing issues. But something that I realized, Chamber of Secrets, was that she loved putting paragraph breaks and a lot of M dashes, which instead of it being that short dash, which is called I forgot what the short one, an N instead of an M, whatever, I don't know what it's called. It's the long one that's like, Stephen King uses them a lot too. He's like, if only I heard dash, or it's usually something that could be in parentheses. So it's like, if only I heard, which I hadn't, but if only, right? It's basically kind of that. She didn't use that a lot, but I don't think there was a single paragraph break. And she was something that I despise in the Chamber of Secrets was how many time jumps there were, with very little of like a comfortable, concrete explanation. This one, it kind of interweaves it and transition it so perfectly. Yeah, Severus Snape, I like, in the movies he was played by Alan Rickman, so that was a redeeming factor, but in this one he has a beard. So that's not Alan Rickman. Also, I've noticed that I'm differentiating the book variants of the characters from the movies because, yeah, they're like completely two different people at this point. In the first one, yeah, they're kind of the same ones, and the second one, slowly, third one onward, different people. Another funny thing I want to mention, in the Sorcerer's Stone movie, which is in 2001, we were just getting introduced to a visual representation of the wizarding world. But in the books, like, however, like in publishing order, Voldemort just came back. And then The Order of the Phoenix came out in 2003, which was kind of an off year for the films. We realized the prophecy in the films, however, just ended with him killing Tom Riddle's memory. So yeah, 2005, which was the 2004, off year for the books, on year for the films. We got The Prisoner of Azkaban. 2005, we got the Goblet of Fire movie, finally seeing Voldemort come into shape. We were discovering what Horcruxes were. 2006, I don't think there was a movie in 2006, nor there was a book. 2007, Order of the Phoenix book. We were learning very minimal about the prophecy and meeting the cruel Dolores Umbridge. Books, however, Harry just killed Voldemort. So yeah. Anyways, let's get into rating system. A golden ticket is an 8 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10, and a trophy is a 9.5 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10. I was struggling with this rating between a 9.5 and a 10 out of 10, but I definitely settled to 1. And the thing about that was that the Voldemort memory thing, this is not a perfect book by any means, but it's so close. So, of course, I give it a 9.5. A trophy, congratulations. Yeah. I only think there have been 2 books I've given a golden ticket, which was the first one and The Order of the Phoenix, and all the rest have either gotten trophies or absolutely nothing. I actually think I might have given the Prisoner of Azkaban a 9. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm so happy and proud of myself, which I am usually humble about. I don't compliment myself usually, but I'm very proud with myself for actually reading, because I was not a reader before this. I watched all the films and I was like, dang, there's a lot that doesn't make sense. So I decided to sit down and read the books for myself. And I'm an auditory learner, so when I read the books, I'm following along with the book in my hands, but I'm also listening to the audiobook by Stephen Fry, which has helped tremendously. But yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, 5 out of 10, congratulations. It's not sentient. But I don't really have any fun outro or anything, so yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys next week. If there's not a different type of video like a movie review, I think I will be reviewing the Deathly Hallows. Today is currently July 24th, and this is probably coming up in the 1st of September. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys soon with Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Which is, I really hope it's the last one. I swear to God, if the cursed child counts, I don't think it. So before I start this video, I'd like to say that I do not condone J.K. Rowling, like, her views and how she's treating, like, she's acting so careless about them. It's not something you do. You don't post stuff into the, like, especially that type of stuff into the internet. It can hurt people, and sometimes stuff, like, people get offended for some stupid reason. But this is just, it was honestly ridiculous, and it was very disappointing, but I still like Harry Potter, and it's separating art from artist, so, yeah. She definitely should be saying that stuff. I do not agree with her. Humans are humans. Trans men are men. Trans women are women. So, without further ado, here's my review for the final book, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Lily's theme, everyone. So today we're going to be reviewing the final book, if you do not count The Cursed Child, in the Harry Potter saga, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. But beforehand, let's do a little bit of a recap of the first 6 books, alright? So we start off with The Sorcerer's and or Philosopher's Stone. It's the Philosopher's Stone, because they thought Americans were too stupid to realize that Philosopher was a thing. Wait, what? My lights are just went off. But yeah, I gave the Philosopher's Stone a 8.5 out of 10. The Chamber of Secrets I thought was incredibly messy, but yeah, I kind of went over that because I was filmed very early in the morning, but yeah. I gave that a 7.5 out of 10. Prisoner of Azkaban, I believe I gave it a 9 out of 10. Yes, I gave it a 9 out of 10. Goblet of Fire, I gave a 9.5 out of 10. This was the turning point. This is when the book started getting really big, but like really, really good. Prisoner of Azkaban was incredible, but this one just like... The Order of the Phoenix, I gave an 8 out of 10, even though I kind of trashed it and did a whole rant about it. It's still a Harry Potter book, so it's still going to get a high rating no matter what. It's definitely, no book is going to be lower than like a 7. I haven't read The Cursed Child, so I don't know if that one's going to be even worse than a 7. But out of the original books, none of them are going to get worse than a 7 or a 7.5. Then the Half-Blood Prince, I gave, the Goblet of Fire 9.5. The Half-Blood Prince, I gave a 9.5 out of 10, just because of how incredibly written it was. And, well, this one, it doesn't follow the same 9.5 trend. It definitely goes a little bit backwards. Let's just I'm saying that a lot. It was fun, to say the least, but let's get into it. Here is my review for Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows.
Pier totum locomotor.
So Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, once again, is the last book, if you don't count The Cursed Child. And it follows them basically following Dumbledore's orders that he gave to them in the Half-Blood Prince, but then it's a whole conflict, and they get the will from Albus Dumbledore, and it's a whole thing. It's just basically they're hunting Horcruxes, one big treasure hunt. It's a whole thing. It opens once again from kind of a perspective as the Half-Blood Prince, where it's from a Death Eater's perspective, where even though that's the second time I've ever done. But this one, it comes from the Death Eater's table in Malfoy Manor. Then it hops to Harry reading a news article written by Rita Skeeter from the Daily Prophet, and it's about the life and lives of Albus Dumbledore, her new book that's coming out. And then he gets, then the order, then the Dursleys go away, the Dursleys go away, they get, transported to somewhere else, and then the Order of the Phoenix comes with Harry, Ron, Hermione, Bill, and Flair, and they drink some Polyjuice potion, and they all turn into Harry, and they fly to Portkey to go to the Burrow. And then there's a wedding at the Burrow for some reason. I think it's kind of stupid to have such a big event in this time, but Harry Potter isn't. He's under Polyjuice as this kid. While I was reading it, I imagine kind of like the kid from The Sandlot, Ham, I think. Him, but with a British Jacob Tremblay. He has such that type of voice, and just what I heard, that's what I saw in my head. And then the Death Eaters attack, and it has one of the greatest lines of the whole book. The Ministry has fallen. Scrimgeour is dead. They're coming. Kingsley Shacklebolt, and that it was just such a suspenseful moment. And when I saw the movies, I was kind of but it definitely, there was a point to this book where it's alright, since there's some stuff that goes so different, it felt like I never watched the movies. But then, I'll get to that in a little bit. Harry, Ron, Hermione, they all leave, and they disapparate to the middle of London. Then they realize that they said Voldemort's name, and it's tabooed, actually now. And so basically, they have searchers come for them, which is a type of Death Eater sent by Voldemort to go to the person who said their name. And they're all trying to kill Ron and Hermione, but Harry's under the invisibility cloak, so yeah. But it's a whole battle and stuff. Made the sound. And then this book is very bulky. It has probably the most stuff going on out of all of them, but this is they're all pretty much simple plots. But Goblet of Fire, so once again, I'm going to say what I said in the Goblet of Fire review. The Philosopher's Stone is broken up into 3 acts, which most of them are, yeah. So the first act is him at the Dursleys. Yeah, and then the second act is from Dursleys to I think it's chapter whatever, platform 9 3/4. Then the next one after that is and then the next act is from the beginning of Hogwarts all the way to Christmas. The last act is the second term. Chamber of Secrets all the same. Prisoner of Azkaban all the same. There's not any extra acts, but the Goblet of Fire, that one pretty much has 2 acts that separates. The first act is the Dark Mark, the Quidditch World Cup. The second act is the Goblet of Fire, the Triwizard Tournament itself. The Order of the Phoenix, I think it has about 3 acts, the same as these 2. Then the Half-Blood Prince, it's also that. one, but this one they don't go to Hogwarts, and it's such a long span of time. And this one is like, the movies couldn't shrink everything down, and so they made it to 2 parts, but they still didn't get everything in there, but movies will do that. But then, yeah, I left off here basically, so they go back to Grimmauld Place, and then Creature's amazing. They drink some polyjuice potion, go to the Ministry, and then after they go to the Ministry, they escape, they get the locket, because they found the locket, and then the RAB stands for Regulus Artemius Black, I don't know, Sirius Black's brother. Then Harry has a great moment where they're reading Lily's letter, which I thought was very well done, well written, very emotional. Then, yeah, the next ones... So then it just all ravels on, and then after they do that, they go back to the tent, and then they can't destroy the Horcrux. So it's all just a whole thing, and it meanders a lot. And then Ron leaves, which he's kind of the comic relief, but he's utilized well where he's a character, a full human. Also comic relief. He is like, he's comic relief out of the trio because of how he is, but then like he's not in this book as much in like the tent and stuff, so and he leaves and it just drags. And then Harry and Hermione go to Godric's Hollow, polyjuice potion again. And also, side note, Dementors are attacking Muggle cities now, looking for Harry. And then, so the whole thing is Voldemort tries to get the Elder Wand. Harry sees Voldemort try to get the Elder Wand. Voldemort, after he gets the Elder Wand, realizes it's not working, and then he tries to go after Harry, but then he doesn't fully go after Harry because he's afraid he's going to lose. And then, well, not afraid, but like, he becomes like... He has a doubt, like, the back of his mind, but he sends other people for Harry, but he never does it himself, and Harry's just trying to destroy everything subtly, so it's not directly towards Voldemort, it's a whole thing. But then, they go to Godric's Hollow, they go to see Bathilda Bagshot, and then, Bathilda Bagshot turns out to be Nagini, but before that, Harry and Hermione and like these old people, they go to the destroyed house of where where James and Lily Potter were killed, and it's an incredibly sad scene, but it's just, it was definitely I didn't cry, I don't think I cried at all in this book. I don't think I did. The only book I really cried in was Half-Blood Prince, and that wasn't even when like Dumbledore died or anything. But yeah, I started tearing up in the forest. But then, yeah, so they go to Godric's Hollow, and then there's this beautifully written scene where Harry is getting possessed by Voldemort, thinking he's there, but then he wakes up and he's back at the tent with Hermione. And then there's The Life and Lies of Albus Dumbledore, and it's a book where Harry's not sure if he likes Dumbledore, and Hermione's like, he loved you, which I thought was weird, because he's like a 500-year-old, maybe, what, like a 200-year-old man, and he's 17? I know it's platonic, but they should have worded it better. And then Ron comes back in my favorite chapter. Out of all the books, it tops The Boggart in the Wardrobe. The Silver Doe is so beautifully written. It's like poetic. It is so amazing. I don't know what to say. It goes so far in deep into the emotion, and it doesn't feel like Harry Potter. It's so well written. And then it turns out Ron saving him, and then it's Horcrux, and now they're just hopping around trying to find some Horcruxes. And then they end up going back to Hogwarts in the Battle of Hogwarts, which is incredible. Fred dies, Fred dies, really sad. I didn't do it justice, but yeah. So, the room requirement, and then Neville is great. It's a shame that J.K. Rowling didn't mention the glow-up that Matthew Lewis had, but yeah. So yeah, it's gorgeous. Then it goes to a chapter. It's not super fast paced, but yeah. Dobby dies early on. I forgot to mention it, but there's so much stuff happening in this book that you tend to forget stuff. The Battle of Hogwarts is well written, but it doesn't feel as much as a battle. And now Harry, so Severus Snape dies in the Shrieking Shack, which how does Voldemort get into the Shrieking Shack? Why did Snape go to the Shrieking Shack? Because Lucius Malfoy got Snape, he brought Snape to the Shrieking Shack, but why in the world? How did Voldemort get into the Shrieking Shack? You had to tame the Whomping Willow, and Harry said, according to Harry's vision, all the windows were boarded up, so how? But, yeah, I don't think there's really any way to get it, because I don't know. It's a whole thing. So Severus Snape died, but he was still, kind of a jerk when he died. He was like, look at me, instead of, the emotional crying and stuff. Well, okay, not cry, but,
Take them to the Pensive. Look at me. You have your mother's eyes.
His death was it wasn't powerful enough because he was such a jerk. And the Prince's Tale, he was you felt bad, but he was still a jerk to Dumbledore. He's still fighting. The Prince's Tale was probably my most anticipated chapter out of every single chapter that I was waiting for. I was so disappointed. It wasn't that powerful, honestly. And then, so basically, when Snape died, he brought out, some memories died off him, so Harry bottled them up, poured them he went to the Pensieve in Dumbledore's office. So he went to Dumbledore's office, he poured them into the Pensieve. And then, it was the Prince's Tale, unpopular opinion, but is Snape, Snape's kind of suck, see, the thing about Sirius Black's death, I said I don't feel bad, but it definitely starts hurting in mourning, and it just works. This death feels like for shock value, honestly. But, Lavender Brown dies for no reason, Colin Creevey, who was a 6th year at the, good God, it's not that I don't feel bad. I hope I'm not a sociopath, but it's not that I don't feel bad. It's just that it's not, especially for Snape. You can't mourn something when it's the end. It's like Dumbledore dying. It's just, when I say I don't feel bad about a character's death, it's that I personally don't get hurt by it, because I didn't have a full connection to that character. Snape sucked in the books. In the movies, his death hurt much more. Well, it might be because it's played by Alan Rickman, but also because it didn't show all the fights that Snape has. It's they're trying to make you pity him. Which is, you shouldn't be making your characters pity someone else. And J.K. Rowling does something where she patheticizes the character so you love them for the qualities. But Snape just sucks. Movie Snape, incredible. I don't care about book Snape. If he dies, it's like you're rooting for him to die. And the Prince's Tale doesn't help. He's trying to help, but it just makes it all confusing. And speaking of confusing, I have 2 things to talk about. The Elder Wand. And the second thing, let's go over the second thing first, and I'll get to the Elder Wand after I do finish my plots. Wow, I have going on a lot of tangents. So what if, you're in a bar, and you're a Death Eater, and you're used to throwing the killing curse. So what if you're telling a story with your wand in your hand and you're throwing it around, you take a little swag, and then what if you're telling a story, it's like, he walks up to me thinking he's gonna get away with the Eagles of Abracadabra, and then you kill the guy you're talking to by accident because you're a Death Eater. You don't mean it on that person, but you mean it on other people, so let's see. And then, yeah, the Elder Wand. So basically, Harry goes off to the forest. He sacrifices himself in a very powerful scene in the forest. That's where I actually almost teared up. I didn't tear up when Dobby died, even though Dobby's one of my favorite characters. I think he's my third favorite character, but, yeah. So, then Harry dies was a very powerful moment. And then he wakes up in King's Cross, which is an interesting, pensive chapter. I really like that chapter. Yeah, Harry is above Dumbledore. So, my top 5. I don't think... Ron, Harry, Dobby, Hagrid, Lupin. Who kind of sucks in this book, too. Why did Remus and Tonks go into the Battle of Hogwarts? They had a son. Did they not see Harry? He's growing up without parents. You should know how that can affect someone. So, whatever. Yeah, and then, so he comes back to life, but he hides it. And then, it all leads into one big duel, and then it's like, the final battle, or the final duel between Harry and Voldemort was... I didn't like it in the books. But yeah, the battle in the books is like... Here's just a clip of it. I don't know. This battle is over now. Yeah. I like how it was in the Great Hall surrounding everyone, but I don't like, number one, I don't like how Neville killed Nagini way before in the film. I honestly prefer the film's final battle. So take the film's final battle and put it in the Great Hall around everyone. So Harry and Voldemort, they circle each other, and then they do a whole monologue thing, like dueling monologue, dueling speech. And then they decide to go into an actual duel, Expelliarmus and Vada Kedavra, against each other. You do a Priori Incantatem again. And then he dies. It's just Vada Kedavra, and then the golden wave expanded. The golden web and then the golden web expanded. It goes da-da-da-da. The golden web expanded, and then everything happened. And then Voldemort fell on the floor and died. Voldemort was dead. The Wizarding World was free. Yeah, that shouldn't be how you describe a moment that's so powerful. That shouldn't be how you describe something. That shouldn't be your victory. Your victory should not be. He fell on the floor and he died. Nothing happened. Like in the film, you see the curse creeping up on Voldemort. You see it happen. And it's so grand and bleh. But then it's just like, circling each other, I'm interrogating you, Tom. You dare use my name? Yes, I dare. Also, I don't like how Voldemort has a high, cold voice as it's described. It's like, I didn't find Voldemort intimidating in the movies, let alone in the books where he has a high voice. It's like, how am I supposed to take you seriously? But yeah, and then, so Voldemort dies and everything's grandiose and it's all happy. Harry mends his wand and then he puts it back. So, Harry, the last sentence of the full thing before the epilogue is wondering, well, the second to last, is wondering if Creature can make him a sandwich. That's like, yeah. I also honestly think if Dobby had to die, Creature should have died. We saw his arc going to great. He definitely should have fought, and then he definitely should have died. But yeah, also, why did Ron's mom kill Bellatrix? I think Neville should have killed her. It should have been a whole thing where, okay, so this is how I would have put the final battle. Basically, they're in the Great Hall, and then, the snake, Nagini's, like, creeping up on, like, a group of people who are dueling, and it's, like, a big group or something, and they all start screaming. Neville kills the snake, everyone goes silent, everyone starts looking, Voldemort looks there, and then Harry's still hiding, and then Bellatrix is like, my lord, and then Neville starts walking, and then Neville stares at her. Harry, Expelliarmus! Voldemort looks at Harry. Bellatrix's wand flies out. Ron's mom is back there, not fighting Bellatrix. Ginny's somewhere else. And then basically, Neville calls Crucio because he also has his wand on. He also has his wand on him. Voldemort's still struck by the surprise that Harry's alive. Crucio, Bellatrix is in excruciating pain. She's going, nyeh, nyeh. And then so she dies. So then she wait till the end of the Battle of Hogwarts, and basically, so Voldemort's dead. She's still going like that on the floor. Then Neville like decapitates her with the sword of Gryffindor. He drives her into madness, and then he kills her. Well, not drive her into madness, but she's already crazy. But yeah, I like book Bellatrix rather than movie Bellatrix because movie Bellatrix is so ridiculously annoying. But yeah, then the epilogue, I actually like the epilogue except for Albus Severus. I prefer it to be, I saw a Reddit thread and it said Arthur Rubius Potter. I like that. And Lily Luna I thought was kind of weird, but then James, and then yeah. But why are they showing us Albus Severus Potter instead of like a, let's see, their first child that went off to Hogwarts? But yeah, James, so if Harry's name is Harry James Potter, he names his son James. Does that mean James Potter's name is James Harry Potter? Or is he James, whatever James's middle name was, Potter Jr.? Even though he's not, whatever. This book is a lot. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention they go to Gringotts to destroy Horcrux. It's really, nah. Malfoy Manor is such a well-paced chapter. It went by like that. I didn't really like the final battle, but Fred and George, great. The wedding was kind of weird. I like Ginny and Harry. They actually ended up together. I like how in the movie, I know I'm talking about the movie a lot, but I have to talk about this. In the movie, they look at Draco, and then they're like, "Go." But then they give their own like little nod, the dude nod, you know, like the sodded. But then you go, what was that? And then so basically in the book, he goes and talks to Ron like he's an old friend, like your dad and his friend does. Like he's after the mom. It's like yeah, and then. In the movie, and this is not a movie review, but I still gotta talk about this in the movie. They walk over, and they act like they've never seen each other. Maybe they saw each other once. Maybe Harry saved Ron's life or vice versa. Nope. In the book, they're like, yeah, look who it is. Draco Malfoy. In the movie, it's, you were not here, Ronald Weasley. But yeah, one of my biggest gripes with the whole series is that stuff came out of nowhere, way too late. The Philosopher's Stone, you have excuses. It's the first book. Chamber of Secrets, makes sense, just a lot of plot convenience. The Prisoner of Azkaban, all except for the Time Turner should have at least been foreshadowed in the Chamber of Secrets, especially if she got it earlier or something. No, she got it in that year, so. And then the Goblet of Fire, the Triwizard Tournament should have at least been, yeah, but we're all discovering the stuff as Harry does. But the Death Eater should have at least been, like, mentioned in the side, the background, like a little Easter egg for the future. Order the Phoenix, my god, a lot of things should have been there. We definitely should have gotten a more bigger idea of, like, how bad Cornelius Fudge could be. Priori Incantatem, or whatever it's called, it's whatever. The Half-Blood Prince, Horcruxes, way too late. Very bold decision of you, Rowling. And then this one, the Deathly Hallows. In the movies, they showed Dumbledore's signature. I think it's in the Half-Blood Prince and the Order of the Phoenix, where his signature is the Hallows sign. And then they said, oh, I saw that Dumbledore's signature. And this one is like, oh, I saw it on his signature from a letter to Grindelwald like 50 years ago. Deathly Hallows comes out of nowhere. We're discovering this stuff with Harry, but like, if we're discovering it with you, the world you're in knows about it. So why shouldn't we at least have foreshadowing, especially if we're seeing stuff from different point of views now? But yeah. Ron knowing parcel tongue. Weird. It's stupid. I think that Hermione should have sent a talking Patronus. Ask Harry, because he's like really good at Patronuses. He should know that stuff. Hermione could have taught him in the forest or whatever. So sends Patronus to Harry instead of him going, "Where's Ron and Hermione?" He goes. She says like, "Can you please open the door to Chamber of Secrets?" Say, "Open parcel tongue" or something. He says it in parcel tongue back to them. Opens it with his Patronus. And it all works out. And it makes so much sense compared to whatever this was. This was a great book, but it meandered a lot. I think they should have split the book into 2 parts along with the movies. And so they definitely could have had a more definitive thing. And it could have been Year 7 Part 2. And if you're gonna call it the Deathly Hallows, it really doesn't mean anything because it kind of gives up on it, the Deathly Hallows. But yeah, the Elder Wand. The allegiance thing is honestly really stupid. So Draco has his regular wand, right? Harry steals Draco's regular wand, his everyday wand, as J.K. calls it. He disarms him from that in just a little tug. But then in the Half-Blood Prince, Draco disarms Dumbledore, but then the Elder Wand's buried with him. And then, so if you just disarm someone with the Elder Wand just once, so if you don't even need to disarm them while holding the Elder Wand. They just gotta hold a regular wand, and if they happen to be the master, if you disarm them, you are now the master of a wand that you did not disarm. So if, let's say, this was a regular wand. The Elder Wand... Shoot. The Elder Wand is right here. So if you disarm me with this one, look, I'm disarmed. You are now the master of that wand and the Elder Wand, just because I happen to be... I think it's stupid. Harry definitely... Draco, if he was going to disarm him, like, what if Harry accidentally disarmed Dumbledore? He was the master, but then he gave it back to... Dumbledore, because let's say they got in a fight in Half-Blood Prince or something, he disarmed him, and then Harry gives it back to Dumbledore, or whatever, and then Draco is like... And then Draco disarms Dumbledore, but it's not Dumbledore's wand, so it wouldn't be disarming anything. So that means Dumbledore would have the wand, so it would be Harry's wand, and he'd be stealing Malfoy's wand, and then it turns out that Harry was the master all along, and Malfoy was never the master. It would honestly make more sense than him just plucking a wand, his regular wand, and him becoming the master of that. Whatever. So if you don't know my rating system, a golden ticket is an 8 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10, and a trophy is a 9.5 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10. I give Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, the novel, a 9 out of 10. A golden ticket. It didn't live up to my expectations. The Voldemort battle was just it was a great finale, though. I could definitely see how, when in the moment it would be a spectacular novel. It was not a satisfying, not a satisfying enough ending for me, at least. But I don't know, that's just my opinion. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. It's been super fun reading through these books. I actually read them all this summer because today actually happens to be July 30th, the end of the month. I read all the Harry Potter novels. Well, I don't know, this is coming out in September, so I don't know. But I read all the Harry Potter novels in less than a month and a half, and I'm not a common reader, so I think I don't like complimenting myself, but I think I can say I'm pretty proud of myself. I'm not a reader, but yeah. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I don't know what I'm going to be doing next. I think I have Stephen King September, but let's see if I can even get to that. But if I'm lucky enough, because it's still July while I'm filming this, I might have time to read a Stephen King book. So if I don't do a movie review, I might be doing a Stephen King book review. Who knows? But yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. I think the series I want to do next, if I end up reading Stephen King, I might read multiple books by him. But the series I want to do next is the Wheel of Time series, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and The Hobbit, of course, and A Song of Ice and Fire. So yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. I don't know what I'm doing now. Once again, I gave my thing about J.K. Rowling at the beginning, so yeah. It's been great fun, honestly. I really enjoyed the series. Once again, separating artists from art. Once again, separating art from artists. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Wingardium Leviosa. Woo!